We all make mistakes. They are an inseparable part of learning. We've all been beginners at some point, and let's be honest, making mistakes is all part of the journey. But here's the deal. Those innocent beginner mistakes can sometimes turn into bad habits that hold us back and sabotage our progress. That's why it's crucial to recognize and correct them early on. So, what are the most common pitfalls that most pianists face in their first year of playing, and how do we steer clear of them? Keep watching to find out. The most frequent mistake is the dinosaur posture. To play well, you must be comfortable. Piano playing should feel good in your body. You need freedom of motion, relaxation, and power. Most beginners, however, have a specific type of bad posture which looks like a dinosaur, more specifically a T-Rex. The elbows are too low, the wrists are below the key level, the body is too close to the keys, and the arms feel constricted and tensed, just like those short T-Rex arms that can't reach anything. If you sit like this, there is no leverage, no comfort, and pain is just an hour of practice away because your joints are misaligned and your muscles are cramped. The weight coming from your back and upper arms pulls you down because of the low elbows, making your hands heavy and sluggish. This posture also forces you to only use the weak finger muscles to press the keys, but we'll talk more about this a bit later in the video. Sadly, the dinosaur posture is not limited to self-taught students. I see it even in images that are used to promote piano studios or online courses. It's usually a photo of a child sitting too close and too low, or even a video of them playing with these small, rigid movements. As a teacher, it baffles me why bad posture keeps being promoted in our era of easy access to information. So if you just realized by watching this video that you have a low and constricted posture as well, don't worry. It's not your fault, it's simply misinformation, and it's quite easy to fix. Now, if the dinosaur is not our animal of choice, how do we sit instead? Think of an eagle or a big lion. To play the piano well, we need to spread our wings. Remember this sentence like a mantra, because it will save you years of pain and frustration. However, there is a secret key that unlocks our wings. And that key, my friends, is the bench. Have you ever seen concert pianists spend several minutes adjusting their bench before their performance? They don't do it because they're weird or fussy. They do it because it's crucial. Good posture starts with how we sit. Invest in an adjustable bench and raise the seat so that your elbows are aligned with the level of the keys or slightly higher. You can also use a stack of music books for this purpose, by the way. Raising the bench is especially important for children, as the standard height of a chair is always too low for them, leading to this very common and very unhealthy result. Also, place the bench far enough from the piano so that the arms can be almost straight if needed. There is room in front of your torso and the elbows can move freely. You can also use this little trick to determine whether the bench is not too close to the instrument. If your arm is completely straight, your knuckles should touch the lid of the piano right here. So if you're too close, you see, when you touch the lid with your knuckles, the elbow will be bent. And this posture is already constricted. The elbows cannot move freely because they're jammed by my torso. The correct height and distance of the bench will allow you to spread your wings and play with comfort and freedom. Because the elbows are now higher as compared to the dinosaur posture, a natural alignment of the joints becomes possible. We have one line of energy and no sharp angles from back to fingertip. This ergonomic alignment helps you to use leverage when playing. The weight of your arms is no longer dragging you down, but flows into your hands and fingers. This way, 99% of the force needed to press the keys comes from the back, shoulders and upper arms, not just the weak finger muscles. This will make you feel powerful and relaxed at the same time, like a lion running effortlessly, or an eagle soaring at great heights. This powerful relaxation prevents fatigue and pain, promotes good technique and a beautiful, rich sound. Now that we talked about the bench and the arms, let's see what happens with our wrists and hands as part of the correct posture. The wrists are relaxed and supple, being able to move in any direction, depending on the requirements of the music. Still, make sure your wrist moves in this area, slightly above the keys, facilitating freedom, and not in this low plane where it will get you stuck. I have several tutorials focused on wrist technique on Piano Career Academy, so I will not go into further details now. The hand is effortlessly rounded, forming a dome where the knuckles never collapse. This, by the way, is a very common hand posture mistake that you need to be aware of and avoid. So, knuckles up, which feels so much better in your hand. There is no tension because this position is very ergonomic. This is simply how our hand is built, while this takes effort and causes a lot of tension. If ever in doubt about the smaller details, remember to check your alignment and find the line of energy. No sharp angles in your elbows or wrists, no constriction in the knuckles. Keep in mind, however, good posture is not something you hold. It's not rigid, it's not a pose. Metaphorically speaking, it's a movie, not a picture. It's simply the most natural way to sit. It's a starting point where your joints and muscles feel comfortable and at ease, allowing you to move freely as you play any piece. Next, just like we have one line of energy from back to fingertips, we also need one line of energy from the crown of the head to the tailbone. Don't slouch and don't crane your neck forward. This is crucial for your health and your piano endurance. To summarize, the most common form of bad posture looks like a dinosaur and it has a downward pull. It is small, rigid, constricted and tense, and it doesn't allow you to fly over the keys. Good posture, on the other hand, has an upward pull. It lifts you up, it gives you wings, it allows you to breathe and move with comfort. So think eagle, not T-Rex. Before moving to the next mistake, I also recommend watching the very first video I ever recorded back in 2011, where I talk about each element of a correct posture in more depth. The second mistake goes hand in hand with the first one, pun intended, and it's the stiff-armed finger technique. Most beginners think that we play piano with our fingers. This assumption is natural. After all, the fingertips are the only part of the body that actually touches the keys. As a result, they play by only moving the fingers while keeping the hand, wrist and arm stiff and immobile. If they also use the dinosaur posture when they do this, this is a recipe for disaster, as the weak finger muscles tire very quickly, especially if there is no leverage and the joints are rigid, leading to pain, injuries, and the desire to quit altogether. So what's the alternative? If we watch advanced players and concert pianists, we notice that they use the entire arm in the playing process. and that their movements are ample, flexible, powerful, and free. Remember the wings we discussed earlier? And no, this freedom is not something that comes naturally after many years of playing. It's something we need to train consciously from the very start. Good piano technique is effortless because it uses the natural weight of our entire arms to press the keys, and joint flexibility to prevent fatigue accumulation. Professionals call this technique whole arm action and weighted playing. However, there is a catch. Unlike your posture, which can be corrected instantly, mainly by adjusting your bench, whole arm action takes a bit of time to learn, and there's a process to it. First, we learn to use the arm as one unit, and we play non-legato, which means we don't connect the notes, until the sensation of channeling weight into the keys becomes a second nature. Our movements are big, loose, relaxed. The finger doesn't do much at this point. It's simply a strong pillar that can hold the weight, and the hand dome does not collapse. In this process, we also train our wrist flexibility, which is the cornerstone of a healthy technique. We move to connected playing gradually, so that by the time we need to use a smaller finger movements, we no longer fall into the trap of the stiff-armed finger technique. Sadly, many method books these days do not follow this process. They start with a legato straight away, and they force you to play in this rigid five-finger position where your hand is glued to the keys and only your fingers are lifting. This clinging to the keys acts like a brake, slowing down your progress, training incorrect sensations in your muscles, and not allowing you to develop speed and dexterity. Again, how can you fly if you're gluing your hands to the instrument? By the way, beginners don't cling because they lack experience. They do it because of incorrect teaching. That's why these method books should be avoided like the plague. If you want to learn more, I recommend watching the second episode from my Myth series, where I talk about the origins of this harmful, old-school five-finger technique and describe the healthy alternative in more detail. The 7 episodes of this series are available for free for our email newsletter subscribers. And of course, you can also build a correct technique from scratch in a step-by-step manner by following our courses and tutorials at pianocareeracademy.com. The third mistake is a frequent companion of the first two: ignoring tension and pain. No pain, no gain, right? Wrong. If your posture is bad and you use the stiff finger technique, fatigue and pain are inevitable. However, because you are not aware that you're doing something wrong, you think that pain is part of the process and you force yourself to keep going. After a while, pain can degenerate into serious injuries such as tendonitis or carpal tunnel. So please don't ignore pain. It is not normal and it should not be tolerated even for a second. Pain is your body's way of telling you that you need to stop and do things differently. Just like a stomachache is letting you know that the food you just ate was not good for you. A healthy, relaxed, whole arm technique is never painful, and it is the #1 solution in this case. If you want to learn more, don't miss my detailed video on this topic. The fourth mistake is neglecting left hand development. To become good pianists, we need to train our hands equally well. Yet lots of beginner pieces focus on the right hand too much, and the left hand suffers as a result. This mistake mostly affects self-taught beginners, but there are also plenty of method books that use this imbalanced approach where the right hand always plays the melody and the left hand has a much easier accompaniment. The healthy alternative is to follow a method that develops your hands harmoniously. In the beginning, this means splitting the melody between hands and playing in an alternating manner. For example, this also teaches us to listen and track a melodic line even when it migrates from hand to hand. Later on, right-hand focused pieces should alternate with compositions where the left hand takes the lead. Here's another good example from the Nikolaev method book that we use in our beginner course. Good method books also abound in pieces where both hands are equally involved for an expressive dialogue. For example, this well-rounded training has incredible technical and expressive benefits. By the way, this mistake has a little sister. I noticed that many beginners assume that clefs refer to hands. In other words, they think that the treble clef refers to the right hand, while the bass clef indicates the need to use the left hand. This is completely incorrect. Clefs have nothing to do with our hands. They are literally keys that tell us what register or portion of the keyboard we need to play in. It's the staffs, not the clefs, that tell us what hand to use. The notes on the upper staff need to be played with the right hand, while the text on the lower staff refers to the left hand. Other than this, it's entirely possible to encounter the bass clef on the upper staff if we need to play with the right hand in a lower register, as for example in piece number 154 from the Nikolaev method book. Here at the end we have a transition, so the right hand is still in the treble clef, and then it moves into the bass clef, and then again both hands, pay attention by the way, move into the treble clef, like this. In other pieces, we can encounter the treble clef on the lower staff even more, if the part of the left hand climbs too high on the keyboard. This is the charming Chinese song from the Nikolaev method book. And only here, the left hand plays in the bass clef. Please notice that it's much easier to change clefs in these cases than use many additional staff lines or ledger lines, which are harder to read. Now that we are talking about musical notation, it's time to discuss mistake number 5. Only focusing on the notes. If you're a beginner, you have surely seen those popular videos which show you the notes you need to press to play a song. This trend makes beginners think that all you need to do to play well is hit the correct notes at the right time. Simply put, if you have learned the notes, the job is done and the piece is mastered. The truth is very different. The notes are just a small part of music. Just like sounds and even words are only a small part of speech. Imagine that I suddenly start speaking like this, simply pronouncing the right sounds, with no intonation, no phrasing, no punctuation. My speech doesn't sound very good, does it? Well, if you only focus on the notes, this is exactly how your playing sounds like. Yes, I know, even hitting those right notes can be difficult, but this only happens if the piece or the song are too hard for you. When the repertoire is suitable for your level, learning the notes is quite easy, and we can focus the rest of our mental power on the most important elements of our art: healthy technique, dynamics, articulation, phrasing, pedaling, and of course, sound quality. So make sure that your playing is meaningful and expressive. After all, this is why we play music in the first place. In all my tutorials and courses at Piano Career Academy, expressive and artistic skills are taught from day one, simultaneously with the correct notes and the most suitable techniques to play them effortlessly and brilliantly. By the way, a little sister mistake is blind reading. Again, pun intended. Blind reading means that the score, also called sheet music, is your only focus. Your eyes are glued to the page, and your fingers are typing away at the keys mechanically. In your desire to see all the notes, you miss the music because your hearing is asleep and your imagination went fishing. If you add the popular advice of not looking at the keys, you have another recipe for disaster. You can learn more on this topic by watching episode number 5 from my Myth series. Mistake number 6 is playing by ear or by chords. Only focusing on reading and disregarding the music is one extreme. At the other end of the spectrum, however, we have playing solely by ear. Many beginners think that learning how to read music is too hard, so they resign themselves to memorizing some basic chords and calling it a day. Yes, if you are very perseverant, it's possible to become a relatively good musician without learning notation or theory. But why limit yourself so much? Don't choose to be illiterate. Musical notation is easy to understand if you follow a good progressive method, and the benefits are enormous. Mistake number 7: learning random songs versus following a progressive curriculum. This mistake is very popular and mostly affects self-taught beginners who think that progressive curriculums are boring, which is a huge myth, by the way. So they go to YouTube or download one of those note-typing apps and try to learn their favorite songs in no specific order. This is very dangerous, especially if you have no understanding of correct posture and technique, and can lead to mechanical playing, complete lack of expression, pain, injuries, and a lack of progress. And if you don't quit after a few months of such practice, you will inevitably realize that you cannot teach yourself, and you do need to work with a teacher or follow a professional online course where all the elements of our art are introduced at the right time in the right order. The progressive path is by far the most efficient one. The next mistake is neglecting aural training. Music is the art of sound, and we perceive sound with our hearing. Developing our hearing or aural training is the most important aspect of true musicianship. However, if you make one or several of the mistakes we discussed until now, chances are you pay a little or no attention to how your playing really sounds. This leads to robotic playing, an ugly sound, lack of musical understanding, and the inability to assess your performance objectively. So learn to listen and also imagine how the music needs to sound before playing anything. Record yourself as often as possible. You will be surprised by the results. Aural training is an essential part of our courses at Piano Career Academy. You will learn how to develop your pre-hearing skills, how to assess your own playing objectively, how to appreciate any piece of music, how to analyze various harmonies, and their expressive potential, and much more. Mistake number 9 is inefficient practice. How do you learn a piece? If you're simply playing it from beginning to end many times in a row, you will not make much progress. Mechanical repetitions don't take you anywhere. This way you are simply memorizing your mistakes. Efficient practice is like a laser light. Instead of countless low-quality repetitions, we divide the piece in small sections and practice each one mindfully with our hearing in charge. This is a large topic that can't be covered fully in this video, so I will only mention a few essential elements. Slow practice. Practicing hands separately and then hands together. Incorporating expressive elements as soon as possible. Working on sound quality. Identifying the core difficulties and conquering them first. And having a consistent practice schedule. We have finally reached the last mistake, which in my opinion is the biggest one. Have you guessed it yet? It's impatience, which we can also call building the roof first. This, my friends, is the one mistake that rules them all. Simply put, you wish to become a good player overnight, and you are looking for courses or apps that promise you fast, effortless, and guaranteed results. Become a piano virtuoso in 10 days. You have surely come across misleading slogans such as this one. So, you really wish to learn, but you are only interested in the flashy stuff. The Moonlight Sonata, a Nocturne by Chopin, or a modern song you love. You also may believe that the progressive path is just a waste of time. Who needs simple pieces when one can learn the notes of a Rachmaninoff prelude from day one? So again, you download a piano app and you start learning the notes of these advanced works. However, because you have no foundation, the entire structure keeps collapsing. You see little progress, your hands hurt, and no matter how much you practice, your playing still doesn't sound good. Every morning you try working on the roof, and every evening everything you build disintegrates. Remember, there are no shortcuts in our art. We only have efficient progressive practice and time-wasting impatient practice that keeps you stuck on your path. I've known people who have wasted many years because of their impatience. By trying to find the best shortcuts, they have missed the whole point of playing music. It's not about reaching a flashy and shallow destination. It's about the deep fulfillment that comes from true growth and transformation. It's also not about typing the notes of a few impressive songs. It's about building reliable skills that allow you to speak the wonderful language of music with confidence and play any song or piece with ease. So the sooner you let go of your hurry and the sooner you realize that there are no shortcuts, the faster you'll make progress. Yes, I know, this is very counterintuitive, but it's also one of the deepest universal truths. Mastery is only accessible to those who take their time to smell the roses, savor every step, and practice with dedication. If you want to become a piano virtuoso, start with the foundation. Be perseverant and understand that you have just embarked on a lifetime journey. This is the ultimate truth and the well-kept secret behind the brilliant playing of every great pianist. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you found value in this video and discovered at least one mistake that you can now conquer with confidence. But before you go, let's keep this conversation going. Drop a comment below sharing the mistakes you identified. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're hungry for more piano knowledge, and of course you want to take your skills to the next level, I've got you covered. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so that you never miss out on my upcoming free tutorials. But wait, there's more. For those of you who are truly committed to mastering this amazing instrument, I invite you to check out my piano program at pianocareeracademy.com by clicking on the first link in the description box below. Inside the exclusive members area, you'll gain access to our step-by-step video course for beginners, which will help you to build a solid and well-rounded foundation in a fun, progressive manner under my very detailed guidance. You will also be able to skyrocket your technique by following our scale and arpeggio course, take your reading skills to new heights with the sight reading course, and explore a treasure trove of standalone tutorials covering a wide range of pieces, topics, and piano challenges. Practice with inspiration, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye!